Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian. Today we're going to be going to week 11 of college football standings and just looking at the playoffs, how the playoffs are looking right now and standings. And Michigan's on a bye week, so we'll also kind of discuss what they can do in their bye week to improve their chances going forward in the future. Uh, because of the poor showing they had against Purdue, while they still won, it really kind of exposed some things they do need to work on. So we'll also be discussing that. So we'll start off with the predictions for the week 11, and as right now, actually, USC and Northwestern are playing. USC is up, as you can see here. They are winning 28-14. Northwestern did keep it relatively competitive in the first couple quarters, but it looks like USC will more than likely pull away in those last couple quarters. So I'll actually refresh that and see if there's another score. But as of yeah, it's still the same. So yeah, I fully expect USC to pull away and win that one probably in another couple scores in the fourth quarter. So uh, Houston and UCF are really close. UCF was up by at least a touchdown or two up till a couple minutes ago. So Houston pulling out a close, possibly 2.5 minutes left, so anything can happen. But likely enough, Houston will win that. But you never know. Tulane and Memphis. This one's Tulane's pretty much laying it on Memphis. Unfortunately, I know Memphis did have hopes of making it to the playoff as like one of the outside berths, but it does not appear like that'll be the case if they do lose this game. Uh, a lot of things would have to happen for that case. So Memphis not looking so hot right now. Tomorrow's games, there are some fairly important games, uh, but not. This isn't rivalry week, but these are games that if someone does get upset here, will definitely have an effect later on in the season, getting towards top 10 rankings, bowl seedings, things that the committee will take into consideration when it comes to rankings. And we'll go over the playoff rankings in a minute here too. Ohio State, Purdue. Ohio State should. There's no reason Ohio State should lose this. I don't see them losing that at all. So Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State. Penn State's just in a mess right now. It's unfortunate what happened to Drew Aller. The coaching staff, all this. So yeah, how Indiana likely will blow them out of the water, I imagine. Penn State will. They're playing at home, so probably keep it competitive and respectable, like they did against Ohio State last week for at least first two quarters. But Indiana should pull away and win that comfortably. So LSU Alabama, it's somewhat of a rivalry game in its own respect, and LSU may want to maybe playing for pride at this point, but I believe Alabama should handle them quite easily. I've seen some predictions saying something like 31-20 and things like that. I'd say that's more likely to be accurate. I don't think LSU really stands a chance this year. Unfortunately, they'll be competitive, but no. Texas A&M and M and Missouri. It's a good test for Texas A&M. Do I think they win? Yes, I do. But I think Missouri is a game team, and they're scrappy, so they'll show up. They'll play hard. Whether that translates to points, remains to be seen. But I think Texas A&M should win that one. Uh, Georgia, Mississippi State. Mississippi State is one of those teams that'll put up a fight, but Georgia's the better team. I fully expect them to win that. Ole Miss and Citadel. All right, yeah, Ole Miss can blow them out of the water. Here's the big one that I personally am really interested in seeing. BYU Texas Tech. Now, I was a big fan of Texas Tech earlier in the season. I thought they would be undefeated at this point. I obviously was wrong, but they do only have one loss. And BYU is undefeated. Bear Brockmeyer is showing the world what BYU football is. So um, it's they're playing at Texas Tech. So I highly suspect that Texas Tech wins this, but um, it could very well be either a shootout or a defensive grind. I don't think there's going to be. It's not going to be a little. It's either going to be like a high scoring game or just two teams just ramming heads all game. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, I think I suspect Texas Tech wins this, but that does not by any means by no means is that showing throwing shade at BYU. They are very good. They have a very good team, and it wouldn't surprise me if BYU pulled it out, but I do think Texas Tech does win this, given that they are playing at home, and I think that's really the tipping factor there. Um, Oregon, Iowa. I think Oregon wins this. I believe they're playing at Iowa. So Iowa, last couple years, obviously has been a scrappy team, but offensively, I don't think they can hang with Oregon. So I think Oregon pulls it out. I don't think it's a high scoring game because it should be defensive. Iowa does have a good defense. So I think it's scrappy, but I can see one of those like 21-10 kind of games where, Oregon won, but it wasn't because they blew Iowa out of the water. So it's a low scoring game, but I think Oregon wins that. Navy Notre Dame, I believe it's a kind of a rivalry game, but Notre Dame should win that comfortably. They are a respectable team in that regard. I think they'll win that. Virginia Wake Forest, who that's I am on thin ice with Virginia. I think they probably win that, but don't be surprised if Wake Forest pushes them to the limit. Louisville, California. I think Louisville wins that. Cal's one of those upset-minded teams, but I don't think they upset Louisville. But been proven wrong in the past. Vandy and Auburn. Vandy should steamroll Auburn. Auburn's in a mess right now. They fired their coach, I believe Hugh Freeze. So I think Vanderbilt's or Auburn's going to be going through some changes right now, and in the middle of the season, that's hard, and normally does not result in wins. So I think Vandy wins that. Uh, Syracuse, Miami. I have had some really bad luck with saying Miami's going to win. However, I do think they beat Syracuse. I really do. Syracuse they lost I believe last week it was to UNC, and UNC is a suffering team. So I think that misery continues, and I think they lose to Miami. Washington, Wisconsin. I think Washington wins that. Wisconsin's just on a down year. It happens, to most programs at some point. I think it's just a down year. So, and they just announced Luke Fickell should be coming back next year. So maybe there'll be some continuity, and they'll be able to develop to respectable team next year. But Wisconsin's just not doing so hot. So I think Washington wins that. Their quarterback's dynamic enough to keep that, the score, keep them scoring consistently. So yeah, Colorado, West Virginia. Oh man, who knows? Colorado's suffering badly, and there's obviously a lot of hate, which not all of it was deserved, but I think West Virginia probably beats Colorado this year. But that could either be, once again, same thing as earlier with BYU, Texas Tech, either a slugfest, like a high scoring, debacle, or just a low scoring slugfest. Who knows? But that's a hard one to predict. But I think West Virginia probably beats them. Colorado's not playing motivated at all. Southern Miss, Arkansas State. Yeah, I think I said last week I like Arkansas State's logo, so go with them. SMU, Boston College. I think SMU probably wins that. They're sneaky good, not ranked good, but they're better than Boston College, at least on paper. Temple, West Point, Army, West Point. I think Army West Point has a good chance to win. Tuesday, this is the weekend before Veterans Day, so tell the veterans, hey, I did serve too, so that's awesome. And let's just hope the Black Knights pull it out for us and all us vets. So I'll go with them on this. James Madison and Marshall. I'll go with James Madison. I'd like to see them. Marshall's had their time in the sun before, so let's go with James Madison. I remember a couple years ago they were ranked, so it'd be nice to see them back in contention. Some more action here. Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan, Battle of the Bad. Let's go with Eastern Michigan because they're from Michigan. That's about it. Missouri State, Liberty. Missouri State's doing surprisingly okay considering their recent move up, but I think Liberty's a little bit better. So I think Liberty, but I think Missouri State keeps it respectable. UAB Rice. Oh boy. We'll go UAB on this one. I think they upset Memphis, and I believe was it Memphis a couple weeks ago. So I think they are the better team. I believe. Rice just not a good year. Maryland Rutgers once again more battle of the bad at the bottom of the Big Ten. Try saying that 10 times fast. Um, I think I think Rutgers keeps this respectable and probably wins, but those two teams they're going to slug it out, and it might come down to the last possession. It really could. Tulsa and Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic, I bet. Tulsa's just not doing so hot right now. UTEP Jacksonville State. I'm actually going to go with Jacksonville State here. UTEP Avengers Stadium. It's Miseryville. So Jayville State. Charlotte, East Carolina. I think East Carolina wins that. Charlotte's just they're the ones that North Texas dropped like 603 passing yards on. So East Carolina knows what they have to do to win. Just throw the ball out. Uh, hey, it's Timu, Michigan, and Louisiana Tech, Delaware, Louisiana Tech. We'll just go Delaware. I really don't know or care. FIU, Middle Tennessee State. That's Bordeaux's one of Bordeaux's favorite teams. They're suffering this year, so we'll go FIU. But I think realistically, it's probably Middle Tennessee. But neither of those teams are too good. Duke and UConn. Duke actually uh, beat Clemson last week, so oh, excuse me. I think we'll just go Duke. But UConn has an upset potential in as much as that matchup can have an upset. Iowa State, TCU. Iowa State, they need to get their season back on track. They were ranked at one point in time. Don't know what happened, but I really hope they beat TCU. Not because I don't like TCU, but I'd like to see them get back on track. They're better than their recent play has indicated. Kansas, Arizona. I want Arizona to win. Family there. Georgia State, Coastal Carolina. Let's go. Let's go Coastal. Isaiah Likely plays for the Ravens. He's from there. He's probably going to be watching that game too. Kennesaw State, New Mexico State. Kennesaw State, up and coming team. They won like 2 games last year and they're already bowl eligible. So hey, give them a little extra fire. So let's say Kennesaw State. Stanford, North Carolina. Man, ACC has suffered this year. Uh, let's just go Stanford because Belichick probably is not going to be at North Carolina next year, anyways. The Raging Cajuns versus Texas State. Texas State is one of those teams you never know what they're going to do. They're not great. They've never been very good, but they occasionally come out and beat somebody just for the sake of beating them. So let's just say Texas State gets that. Air Force, San Jose State. Let's go Air Force. Keep on in the theme of the military academies. Obviously, Navy's not going to beat Notre Dame, unfortunately, but Air Force can beat San Jose State. And here's the interesting one: Florida State and Clemson. Both these teams have vastly underperformed. Vastly. So who knows? I think Clemson wins this game. I do. Because I think Florida State is just they beat Alabama at the beginning of the season and they just fell off a cliff. Like full on nosedive, rocks at the bottom. They do it and they still did. So I don't know what's going on, but I think Clemson wins that. Nevada, Utah State. I think Utah State wins that one. Nevada's just kind of not really relevant right now, unfortunately. Um, Something interesting about this Florida Kentucky game, they have their injured list or whatever, people who are questionable injured is ridiculous. Like 21 players between the two teams. That's insane. Like running backs, wide receivers, linemen, the whole 9 yards. That's insane. So this might be a battle of the backups. It'll probably be a good game, and I think Kentucky has a really good chance of winning. It's another Bordeaux team. Um, so it could very well be quite literally the battle of the backups. And if anybody else gets hurt, it's just going to get worse. So uh, maybe Kentucky wins that. We'll see. Oh, UCLA, Nebraska. So this is going to be interesting because Nebraska doesn't have Dylan Raiola, and UCLA is fighting for basically the road back to relevance. So I think UCLA wins this, but it's really hard to say. It really is. But I think UCLA does pull it out. I think Nebraska has played a scrappy team even without Dylan Raiola. But I think UCLA is probably going to pull that one out. UNLV, Colorado State. Apparently, something's like I said last week. Something's going on with their Nicolosi, Brandon Nicolosi, or whatever his name is. Colorado State's former starting quarterback, but he's had some dispute. He's not with the team anymore. So who knows? Neither of those teams are very good this year. So I think whoever's more motivated probably is going to be the one. So probably more likely it's going to be Colorado State to prove maybe there's some bad blood. So maybe they want to prove they don't need him. We'll see, but they probably win that. Oregon State should beat Sam Houston State, or Sam Houston rather. San Diego State, Hawaii. If they're playing on the Big Island, that's probably Hawaii. But I think San Diego State probably was that game. So that's Week 11's matchups. I'll refresh this real quick, see what the score is. But yeah, Houston did beat UCF. Tulane is still leading Memphis, and Southern California has a 17-point lead on Northwestern, which I don't see them giving up. So, all right, moving on to the college football playoff current top 25. And we'll kind of go over what I think of this real quick. It's not going too deep. There's plenty of pros, pundits, and everything who do this, but some ones that we'll just go a few that I find interesting. Michigan's here at 21. I think that's perfect, especially if it's going into a bye week. They probably won't move. If they do, it'll be one up or one down. That's fine. They haven't really proved that they can beat, too many people above them. That's fine. The ones that I am kind of surprised, just kind of semi-surprised, is like Virginia and Louisville. Now they did, Virginia beat Florida State. Louisville did beat Miami. However, I think they're slightly overrated. But at the same time, Miami at 18 is not necessarily the wrong place for them. So I don't think Virginia could beat Michigan. I really don't. I don't think Louisville could beat Michigan. Uh, to be quite frank, I'm not sure Utah could beat Michigan, but they are there by dint of their record. So, as the season plays out, I think the ACC cannibalizes itself. I think Pittsburgh, Virginia, Louisville, all three of these, 24 or 14, I think they all fall out of the rankings at the end of the year. I think they cannibalize the conference. So I think Georgia Tech and Miami will probably move back up, more than likely. So Tennessee at 25 is fine. Pittsburgh, like I said, they'll probably fall out, but that's fine. I am somewhat surprised about Washington, but at the same time, I don't know who would take their place. So, yeah, that's fine. Missouri, it's fine. Vanderbilt, personally, I think Vanderbilt's underrated even now. I really think that you could switch them out for Utah or Virginia, and I'd be perfectly happy. So, once again, these are just my thoughts on this. Not a There's people who know way more about this than I do. Texas, I think they're slightly overrated because they're not consistent. You could put them at 12 or 13th, and I'd be just fine because nobody knows which Texas is going to show up. They went to overtime with Kentucky. What's going on? So, but I do think the top 5 is pretty accurate. Top 6, Ohio State, Indiana. You could realistically, I think Ohio State just has a better defense, but those two, Indiana's proven that they can win the big games finally. So that's fine. I think these top 6 are fairly accurate. I think you start to get into dicier territory by putting BYU over Oregon, but BYU and Texas Tech play this weekend. So we're going to find out. We are going to find out just how that ends up because Oregon is playing Iowa, who's ranked 20th. So if, let's just say, Iowa upsets Oregon and Oregon, whatever. And then obviously somebody has to win the BYU Texas Tech game. I don't think whoever loses that game, as long as it's not an absolute crushing blowout, I don't think either of them falls too far out of the top 10, if even maybe even at all, but likely. So I think if Iowa loses to Oregon, they probably fall to 24. And given that the ACC is probably going to self-destruct and lose at least one or two other teams, I don't see Iowa falling out of the top 25 if they keep it competitive with Oregon. So we'll see. Notre Dame at 10 is fine. I think if they beat Navy, I don't think they move at all. They may even move up one or down one, depending how convincing their win is. But so that's pretty much where I see this. There's going to be some movement. I expect this to the only ones I realistically expect to stay the same after this week are really only the top five. So I would say six, but I don't know if Ole Miss doesn't look too convinced. If Texas Tech, let's just say Texas Tech blows the doors off of BYU, and Ole Miss does not look convincing against the Citadel, but they should, more likely they will. Then I think Texas Tech moves to six and BYU moves to seventh. That's my personal opinion, though. But this committee, who knows? So that's my kind of my deduction of what this is. There's going to be a lot of changes. We still have several more weeks, obviously. So we have at least 4 weeks and more of football to go. This will change drastically. Upsets happen. So do not be surprised if this looks vastly different in 2 to 3 weeks. So, um, but then by then we're gonna start looking at the major rivalry games, Michigan, Ohio State, that kind of thing, and those could very well shape this picture into something completely different. So, but yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you all have a great day. And real quick about Michigan on their bye week, uh, learn how to throw the ball. That's you've perfected the run game. Learn how to throw the ball. That's literally it. If you want to beat any of these teams, throw the ball more and do it the right way. Yeah, that's teach your receivers how to catch. That's literally it. I got nothing else because Michigan can run, 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 run. We've proven that, but you have not proven that we can throw the ball with any measure of touch. So get Bryce Underwood to learn how the difference between a throw and a pass, and we could beat 2/3 of these teams. Maybe, but maybe exaggeration. But yes, that's it. So, anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you all have a great day. And to all the veterans out there, hey, appreciate y'all. Thanks for all you've done. And hey, I served too. So much love to y'all. Have a good one. Peace.